Greetings, everybody. I know you've been waiting all week long for episode 3 of News from the Pews. Here we are in our glorious school. My distinguished guest of honor today, Mrs. Borland, our wonderful principal here at St. Joseph, who you've been here 3 years.
This is 3rd year.
Isn't
I
that
know.
wild?
Time flies.
It truly does. And we were just talking before we hit the play button about her coffee mug that says, keep the
Tiny humans alive.
That is your goal for the day.
And it was given to me by a school family during the first year I was here, which was the COVID year. So it took on a little extra meaning.
What a
year.
crazy time to begin your work as principal here.
Yes, I remember, Father.
Oh
so
my
I interviewed before COVID
Yes, you
started.
did. In this very room?
Yes, in this room, at
Oh
this
my
table.
gosh, at this table.
And then about a week into shutdown is when you called and offered me the job.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what crazy person takes a new job in a school that you've never set foot in while kids are there or anything in the middle of pandemic? And we had to figure out how to open school in those crazy times in a place that I didn't ever know how they did things normally. But God...
Only the craziest at St. Joseph, you know?
But, you know, God guides us, and it all worked out beautifully. But it was a little... Interesting.
It truly has. It has been a joyous ride so far. And what led you into education in general?
I really came kicking and screaming. I'm from a family of educators. My great-grandmother taught in a one-room schoolhouse.
Oh, my goodness.
My mother was a teacher. In fact, I had my mom as a teacher for 3 years. She taught me Latin. Came in handy at math
came
today.
in handy for math.
My sister is a teacher, and I wanted to not be like everybody else in my family, and so I started studying. I knew I wanted to help people, and I loved science. So I started as a pharmacy major at Butler, and once I got into my pharmacy classes, realized that was not for me, and I transitioned to education, and was my first content area of teaching was high school chemistry.
Oh, gosh.
Taught science for 18 years and knew I wanted a different challenge, and then moved to administration. But it's definitely in the family blood. But
so you started.
I wanted to carve my own path.
The pharmacy. I bet there are days when you wish you could give some pills to some of these kids around here. And
or
maybe
to myself.
or the teachers or staff. Sometimes some people think the priest even needs a little Ritalin. Can you believe that people would think that? I cannot imagine.
Or a lot.
Or a lot. I don't know. Anyway, as you all can tell, today is Ash Wednesday. We don't just have dirt on our foreheads. You know, and you can tell that I got Miss Borland, because look at the size of that cross. People can always kind of tell who Father got. And my favorite is when I get bald guys like myself, because I just go right up here. It is a hoot. And anyway, the ashes are just going all over people's noses this morning. And so I do apologize. I learned just last week that there was a time I sent somebody to the hospital because accidentally some ashes went into her eye. And I can't believe I did. I mean, she should be laughing, but I'm sure she's laughing as she watches this episode. Now, we have a couple loose ends to clear up. From 2 episodes ago, when Mrs. Disser and I were together, we suggested that the spring play was on either the 13th or the 18th. We were both wrong. Thank God Mrs. Borland is on top of things. It is the 16th.
It is the 16th of May.
At what time? 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. Right here.
Right here at St. Joe.
That's right.
It will be amazing. The kids have started, buzz is building, and they're getting excited. Mrs. Disser's talking about the auditions coming up and casting. So
the play, I think we finally have it to where each 4th grader, each 5th grader has their own part, and it's just going to be great. We're going to need to have 2 Samsons, 2 Delilahs as often, because there's probably between all the Delilah lines, there's probably almost 300 lines. I mean, it's just crazy. But it's going to be a great show, and looking forward to sharing that with everybody. That's just one thing that makes our school special.
It does. I think all the extras, I think, make us special. And starting with of course, the faith and going to Mass and praying together, but that builds a community that is so unique. And I love seeing when the kids start to put that faith in action all on their own without any prompting. In fact, one of those, you don't even know about this one yet, Father, happened last night. We had basketball games here. And one of
Last home game.
Yes, it was last home game for the boys basketball season. Tourney, they play Monday at 5. But one of our current students came during the games and said, Mrs. Borland, I was thinking with Lent coming up, and we were talking about that in class and how I could make people happy and spread God's goodness. And she said, wouldn't it be neat if I went around and I left notes on every student's desk? And I said, absolutely, that would. And I said, do you want my keys to do it? And she did that. So while the games were going on, she went around and put Post-it notes on every student's desk with little happy messages. And she doesn't want anybody to know who it is, but all the students today came in to find that today.
Can you believe that?
I know. And just that faith
That's
in
one
action.
of our current students?
One of our current students.
Wow, that is awesome. It was, 3 weeks ago where there was a funeral driving by, and the kids were out playing football at recess, and on their own, one of them says, there's a funeral, and they stop the game, they make the sign of the cross, and they fold their hands as that funeral procession is going by. I mean, that's why we do Catholic schools.
It is. Do you remember, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, after school care, and you had popped out in the green space while the kids were playing after school.
Yes.
And the young, probably kindergarten, first grade age, they found a dead worm.
I remember this. I remember this.
They were like, Father, this is one of God's creatures. We need to have a funeral. And Father led a funeral for God's creature.
As I remember, it was Grady was one of them, and he yelled as I walked across the parking lot, "We need a priest!" And I said, "What do you need?" And he says, "We need to do a funeral for this worm." I mean, there is evidence. I mean, they see God in everything, even a worm.
Yep.
I mean, God is everywhere. And one of them gave the sweetest Valentine. Oh, I have to tell you, I hadn't told you this yet, but we had a visiting team at the 5 o'clock school-led Mass last weekend, and Miss Borland spoke some beautiful words there at the end of Mass. And but there were all these high school girls that were at this Mass from St. Anthony, Indiana. And they were here doing semi-state. And I got a note from their pastoral associate who was with them. She helps to coach. She said, that was one of the best Masses we have been to in a long time. She says, those kids did such a good job. You could tell that they were reading and serving with their hearts. And I mean, that this person took the time to write that note. Yes. And of course, she also complimented the incense. I mean, just can you imagine some poor people don't have incense at their churches. I don't understand how they function. But anyway, so I mean, there's so many good things happen in our school.
And, so of course we have the faith and the service. Mrs. Simpson and I delivered yesterday all of the personal care items that the school families donated during Catholic Schools Week that will be distributed here in Shelby County. And the agency that we donated those to, I mean, they were just in tears because they're like, we have people asking for these things all the time and we can't give them. They were just flabbergasted that the St. Joe kids gave that much. So, the service, the faith, also wonderful. Of course, the academics are here. School that's definitely a part of it. I think in the past, St. Joe has maybe had some rocky years. Over the past 3 years, Father, our iLearn scores have gone up while most of the state and all the schools in the county have gone down. So
and ours have gone up.
And ours have gone
consistently
up. Yes. And I'm so proud of the kids. They work so hard, and the teachers who, I think it's those small classes, and the kids know that the teachers love them and know them and care for them. And the teachers just work all the time to help those kids grow, and the kids know that, and they celebrate those successes.
We're a family here.
We are.
That's really what it boils down to. These kids know that they have a principal that loves them, they have teachers that know them, love them, and that they're not just numbers. They're not just a test score, they're not just number 20 in the class, but they are beloved son, beloved daughter of God. And there's a beautiful family feel at this school.
100%.
Is that your favorite thing about being principal? What's your favorite thing about being principal?
I think it is that community feel.
Yeah.
But I love starting the mornings out greeting everybody and the kids and calling everybody by name and telling them good morning. And sometimes I get the grouchy faces. You can tell who's having a rough morning. The kids that run up and give me a hug.
I was just going to say, sometimes I'm in the sacristy getting ready for Mass, and I look out there, and they're all running in. They're running to give you a hug. They're running inside. I mean, they're not like, another day of school.
No.
They're running.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
They're excited to be here.
Yes,
and, the little preschool kids, I love when the 3 and 4 year olds start to get very independent, and it makes mom and dad's heart sad because the little ones are, I want to walk in by myself. And those sweet little kids with their backpacks that are as big as they are, up the stairs and into class, and of course mom and dad and I are watching from outside, watching the whole way until they get into their class and their teachers with them. But
I hope they grow up the way I grew up at St. Charles, just knowing that this is home. I'm loved here, I'm wanted here, I belong here, and that's just, I've been thinking that we should invest in a priest principal golf cart. Don't you think it'd be fun if you and I could drive around a golf cart? Yeah. I mean, when we got things going on different sides of the campus, that you could use the golf cart when your school thing.
What about maybe a Segway?
Oh.
Stand.
I'm okay with that.
I can see you zipping through the hallway.
I could zip through the sanctuary. Oh my gosh, I don't know if that'd be allowed. But anyways, we have a couple things that we need to talk about. Number one, registration for next year. It's just started.
Yeah, registration for next year for new families has just opened up. We have spots in all of our grades except the 2-year-old preschool. That is full. We have so much interest in our 3-year-old preschool. We opened another section. So there's
isn't that great?
Yes. So there are spaces for 3-year-old available.
They were born right at COVID time.
They were. Those were the COVID-born babies.
Yeah.
But we've got several new families that I've got appointments with and scheduling tours.
Isn't that wonderful?
And so would love, and that's what when I spoke Saturday after Mass, trying to encourage parish families. You want your kids to put faith first. This is the place where that really comes alive. And so, and one of the blessings that we have is the Indiana Choice Scholarship here in Indiana. Indiana is very unique with that scholarship. And for the most part, it's very generous income guidelines. They've really increased that over the last few years, where majority of our families here at St. Joe qualify for that. And for the most part, if you're a parish family and you meet those income guidelines, it's going to cover your entire tuition.
Entire thing?
The entire tuition.
I mean, there's really no reason.
No.
I mean, there could be no reason.
No.
It's amazing. I mean, it's so worth it. It's so worth it, where you're breathing in every day, Jesus. You're breathing, it's in the atmosphere. The life of prayer, the life of service, those things that they begin. One of our teacher assistants was just saying, I'll say Robin. She was telling me about Molly, who just graduated our school. She was talking in her sleep, and she was talking about God in her sleep. I mean, it's become a part, and it's just so beautiful. It's just so beautiful, and that's the kind of thing that happens with our students.
Yes, and our average class size here is 15 students per grade with a teacher, and then sometimes an assistant in there as well with the part of the day or all the day. So there's so much personal attention for their heart, for their soul, for their brain that happens here that just doesn't happen other places.
Now, could a non-Catholic student come?
Absolutely. We have several non-Catholic families here. They fully participate in everything. They attend Mass. They have religion class. So as long as you share our values, you can definitely be part of St. Joe family. It does not have to be just parishioners.
Absolutely.
The parish does financially support the school some, so there is a different tuition rate for non-parishioners, but I'll tell you, Father, the Choice Scholarship covers almost all of the non-parishioner rate as well.
See.
So it's a very minimal out-of-pocket cost for for families that qualify for that choice scholarship.
Yeah, and I think I would make a plug too. I mean, just the non-Catholic Christians in our city. I mean, what we teach here is friendship with Jesus. I mean, that's the bottom line, and that's something that we all agree on. I mean, we all agree that Jesus is our Savior. He is our Redeemer. He is our God, and we need Him. And here they develop that friendship with Him throughout the course of their everyday life. And it's just it's indispensable. There's nothing like it.
Did you notice while you were reading the gospel this morning during Mass that there was a siren, an emergency vehicle went by?
Yes, I know.
So while you were reading the gospel, as the siren goes by, everybody's just crossing themselves, saying a little prayer. Again, the kids do that on their own without any prompting.
And it carries on after they graduate. I had a funeral last week at 7 p.m. and some of our graduates from this school who are now in high school text me and say, "Father, do you need a server for the funeral?" And so I didn't have to ask. They asked me. And I mean, it's something that just keeps going their whole life, Now, one thing that I appreciate so much of what you have done and what you do is to bring Christ into the center. And Adoration Challenge.
Yes.
Talk about that, because that's coming up around the corner.
It is. So we started this year Catholic Family Challenge each month with trying to focus on one practice of Catholic families for families to do at home and together as a family. And so the one for March, and so this one will be coming home in Friday folders, is for adoration. And so there's deanery adoration events coming up during Lent. Of course, there's 24-hour adoration here at St. Joe. And so our challenge to our school families this month is to find some time together as a family to adore Christ.
Absolutely.
Now, and I've never told you this, Father, until the first school adoration this year, I had never been to adoration because I was intimidated.
Didn't know what to do?
I didn't know what to do.
Yep.
I thought, those people who go to adoration, like, they're better Catholics than me. They're holier than me. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And so we had the first adoration here, and you did such a great job kind of walking the kids through, but that walked me through. And then later when I came back into church for some adoration time, the peace that really I experienced for the first time, kind of sitting in that silence. I don't silence my brain as much as I should. And listen. I'm usually being bombarded by things, and so that peace and calm and just being able to listen to Jesus, and it just spend time is something just hearing nothing. It was amazing.
The best description I ever heard of it was, it's kind of like when you go to a beach. It doesn't matter what you do. You could be reading, you could be sleeping, you could be running, you could be doing whatever. You're going to get a tan. You're going to get a suntan. And it's the same with adoration. When we go in front of the Son of God, it doesn't almost matter how you're praying, if you're reading, if you're just sitting there, eyes open, eyes closed, rosary, no rosary, you're going to get a tan. Something is going to happen to that soul where the Lord, divinity, you will absorb divinity in that powerful way. And that's what I love about encouraging our families to do that, because that's the best thing. Like when a parent takes their kid to adoration, you are literally taking your child to Jesus. You're literally taking them there, which is awesome, which is so awesome.
And I would say to parents, if you were like me and you're not sure what to do and it's not something that's part of your regular habit, your St. Joe students have been attending adoration once a month.
Yes.
And they know what to do. So it might be where you're flipping the roles, and as a parent, being vulnerable to your kids and saying, I've had to do this a lot with my kids. Usually it's with a technology device that they've got to show me how to do something. But okay, show me. I'm new to this.
The child take them. I mean, how often that happens, where we think we are the ones that are ministering to them, but they end up ministering to us. And that happens, I'm sure, with parents.
And that is the true gift of Catholic school, Father.
Yeah.
Because think of, and I know families are popping into your head as they do mine, that children who come to school here, that were not Catholic, that they then want to be baptized, receive the
Yes.
sacraments. Their parents start attending Mass and attending church.
Yep.
And
Yes.
that
It's
is
so cool.
That is the true
And one
gift
of the
of Catholic school.
and when you
is
were talking
evangelism.
about adoration, I was just thinking, well, there was a parent here who texted me and said, my kid had begged me to go to the adoration chapel, begged me to take him to the adoration chapel. I thought, yes, I mean, that's what it is. That's
Yes,
what it is.
yeah.
It's so cool. So praise the Lord. And on that note, just a little taste of something coming next week is that, as Ms. Borland noted, we're doing a deanery celebration of the Eucharistic Revival. So the Eucharistic Revival is in 3 years. First is diocesan year. We did that last year. We did a huge procession downtown Indianapolis and some other things. Year 2 is the more local celebration. And so Archbishop has asked that each deanery do some celebrations. And then in that same second year, parishes will begin to do their own sorts of things. And so as in Batesville Deanery, we've got 19 parishes, but we've got 6 counties. There's 6 weeks of Lent. Perfect. So every single Wednesday into Thursday in Lent, we're going to county to county to county to county, doing this 24 hours of 7 p.m. Wednesday to 7 p.m. Thursday, and it kind of winds down with the priests having a meal together, and then it also kind of involves some witnesses that the last half hour of that and on the Thursday. And then now we're blessed here because we have that adoration chapel too. So we're at 7 p.m. on Thursday. We simply will 7 p.m. Wednesday of this coming week, I will move Jesus out of the chapel into the church. So anybody who would have a holy hour at that time would just kind of go into church. And then at 7 p.m. Thursday, I'll take him back to the chapel. And so it'll be wonderful. And we're just kind of encouraging all parents, all families, but all members of the whole parish and St. Vincent too to come out for just, even if you come for 5 minutes, it'd be just awesome if every single one of our almost 1,000 Catholic families in Shelby County comes to adoration for just a short little spell. It'd be awesome. Miss Borland and I, last thing, our favorite pizza place is the same.
It is in Bloomington.
Mother Bears.
Two Hoosier fans.
Oh my gosh!
Mother Bears pizza.
two Hoosier fans, not Purdue fans. Now we're outnumbered.
We are.
But we will convert the rest.
We will.
With due time. And maybe if we
come to their senses.
Maybe we brought Mother Bears pizza, that would help to convert them. I was thinking with this, we can't do that for a while, but maybe at Easter time, we should have Mother Bears for all the staff. Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be fantastic.
That'd be great. Oh my goch. Everybody, thank you so much for joining Miss Borland. Thank you for being our guest.
Of course. Thank you so much,
Such a joy.
Bubba.
She has been waiting for this moment. It has happened, everybody. All right, we'll see you next week. God bless you all.